I'm going to put new countertops, new laminate countertops on these old retro counters. It's an old farmhouse, and I'm going to, instead of ripping up all these old counters, I'm just going to put laminate right over these. Right now, I am washing with hot soapy water, getting these super clean, the countertops. This is the new countertops here. It's just sheet laminate. Then we got all our tools needed to complete this. A roto zip for cutting out this cutting board area. This is a router. I have some bits for that. I have this for the contact cement for putting the laminate on. This is minerals, acetone for cleaning up residue. I have a drill just in case. Files, a roller, a straight snip, scissors, a ruler for measuring, a knife. This counter had this old cutting board on it, which I'm going to leave because I think it's kind of neat. These I had to take out these brackets. They're all along here. I can't get that one because it's stripped. But then taking a hammer and crowbar, carefully lifting it up. I have to take out that one last one, but we're going to remove this first before we start the laminate. I'm showing you, I got to cut little strips for the counters up here. I find that it's easier to do. I've already done one counter. This was my practice. Learning the router was a little tricky, so I'm glad I had a scrap piece on that side. But instead of doing just one counter at a time, now I want to do them all. So I'm going to cut this thin strip first and do that. So I'm showing you here. I have most of them cut out. All I'm doing is I have a piece of trim that I'm using the back side of that, a piece of wood, and then I'm cutting these a little. They need to be 1 inch, but I'm cutting them a little wider. But what I'm doing, taking this utility knife and sliding it like this. I ran along my cut a couple times to score it extra deep. Then I flip over a piece of laminate. I'm using my board. I use a piece of wood as like an extra guide, and then pop this up. That's how you cut a piece of laminate. Okay, I'm using this contact cement, poured it in a pan. I'm going to coat each of my strips with this. I'm going to coat each of the strips with this contact cement. I'm doing this outside in a ventilated room. And then I also need to run this along the edges of all the corners. These are all, run this along the edge because I'm going to do all of them at once. And then route it all at once. So make sure that that gets coated well. And then coating these strips And then on the back of that can, it says to let this sit for 10 to 15 minutes and then I can put my strips on. Okay, so I installed all the perimeter laminate. I just have to use the router to fix it up. When I'm doing this, I'm putting the factory edge, lining that up, because my router skills, when I can't see underneath there, but you push it on and then take the roller. And like I said, I use the factory seam on the end so I don't have to router one side, because it's really hard to do that when you can't see underneath. So I'm going to use the router to just do the top. To protect this edge seam, I'm putting this painter's tape on it. I'm not that great with the router, so it's better safe than sorry. After you cut your strips off, there's going to be rough edges. Take a file, go at a 45-degree angle and only go up. Don't go down. That'll cause this to separate a bit. So I went along and filed. You want it smooth with the surface, but at a little bit of an angle downward. I'm taking this contact cement, it on the whole back side of the piece to go on. The countertop, and roll it on the countertop. Let this dry on both pieces 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're ready to put it on. Okay, I put some sticks because you don't want the piece to stick right on this at first. You want to be able to move it around so you can position it. So I put sticks on all the sides. I'm using a Porter cable router made for laminate. And I have a router bit in here. And this is what it was. The shank is a 1/4 inch. I found you have to use a skinnier one because it has to fit that bolt. Anyway, right now I'm cutting out the spot for the cutting board with the router. To start it, I just push down. You can drill a hole and then follow the lines. Turn the router on. My hole for the cutting board. I'm going to go back and smooth this one out, get better in the curve, but otherwise the rest looks pretty good. When you buy your router bit, comes with directions. It says your max RPMs right here, and then your dial setting is the corresponding RPMs. But this is right here where you switch it on the router, depending on which bit you have. That's your speed setting. To adjust the height, you pop this open, pop that open, and then twist this black part up or down, and that will move your bit. Then snap it on tight to set, and then you can use this red part to adjust really fine your depth settings. So now when you use the router, there's a right way to go with it and a wrong way. I'll show you. If you can see, if it rips up your tape, you are definitely going the wrong way. So if you're going the right way, all that'll happen is it gets a little grooves. But this can rip into your countertop. I like to have the tape just as a safety feature when I'm routing. After I've routed it, I'm going to take a file, go at a 45-degree angle down, just to get rid of then once you take the tape off, this is what the edge looks like. Pretty nice.